You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whenever you're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report, thank you so much for being with us. Today is November 24th, 2024. It's a Sunday, so it's another day for the Central Indiana Sports Report. I'm your host, Greg Mengelt, and I love Central Indiana basketball. Susie will join me momentarily. We had 9 local games Friday, including CIC teams Frankton, Eastbrook, Oak Hill, Mississinewa, and Blackford in action, plus Kokomo improving to 5-0, Muncie Central with a bounce-back win, and Anderson Prep continuing its hot streak. Coming up, we will hear from Frankton head coach Jeff Bates. His Eagles beat Newcastle 47-43 on Saturday. Kevin Helfrick of the Action Sports Network, who covered Mississinewa-Luers on Saturday, and Eastbrook head coach Alicia Griffin, whose Panthers defeated Taylor 62-28. Earlier Sunday, we released our Madison Grant boys basketball season preview. We've now released Frankton, Alexandria, and Madison Grant, and we'll have the Elwood Panthers for you early Monday morning. We also expect to have Tipton and Tri-Central season previews early next week. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to get to Tipton until after their season starts Tuesday at Tri-Central. That was a planning error on my part, and I'll try to fix those kinds of things in the future. We will also have our CIC boys basketball season preview sometime early next week, likely Thursday morning for your Thanksgiving traveling pleasure. Also, our girls basketball week in review with recaps of all of our local teams, our weekly honors, including player of the week and team of the week. And our weekly power polls will be on Monday. We'll also have a conversation with the Herald Bulletin's Rob Hunt about Elwood's, Alexandria's, and Anderson Prep's hot starts. And Friday's rivalry classic between Frankton and LaPel, plus Pendleton's heartbreaking loss to Greenfield Central. And of course, we'll have our girls basketball scoreboards every day this week, except for Monday, which of course we'll have our week in review that day. We will have a scoreboard on Thanksgiving Day for your Thanksgiving traveling pleasure. That will be from Wednesday night's girls action and previews of Friday's games. We'll also continue to have as many live scoreboards as often as we can get together with Michelle Garman. And but that probably won't be again until next week, with Thanksgiving being this week. Those seem to be a hit, Susie.
Nice.
Please don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow us. All of our segments are now on YouTube as well, by the way. We're going to start adding some videos to the background of those audio tracks soon as well. Here's Susie with Sunday Scoreboard from Saturday's local girls basketball action.
Thanks, Greg. Just a reminder, if you want to be a sponsor for one of these segments of the scoreboard or the regular programs out throughout the week, you can email us at cisr.ads@gmail.com with any questions, and we will get with you about that. We would love to have some sponsors on these segments.
We're looking for sponsors and partners, not necessarily advertisers. We want to do some special things with our sponsors.
That's right. And now to Saturday's girls basketball scoreboard. Frankton held off Newcastle for a 47-44 victory at the Eagles' Nest on Saturday. Here's Frankton's head coach, Jeff Bates, to tell you about it.
Welcome back to the Central Indiana Sports Report. Frankton head coach Jeff Bates, big win over Newcastle on Saturday. Coach, tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, Greg, kids played great. You know, it was one of those games where came off a really tough loss against LaPel the night before, but it was a game that we really played hard. I felt like we made a lot of really big strides in the LaPel game. And so it's always a game that you hope that you continue what you did the night before, even though it was a loss. And I felt like they did that. I felt like we made some huge strides and came away with a big win for us.
Winning on back to back, winning on the second night of a back to back against a pretty good team, that shows a little character, doesn't it?
It does, and we had some girls really step up. Emma Key has been pretty much carrying us this year with her scoring, and she had a little bit of an off shooting night, but she played her tail off, and her teammates were able to pick her up. We had some really bright spots with like Sophia Hoagland and with Ann Curtis.
All right, tell us a little bit about who your leaders were scoring and who else played well for you. Maybe not in the stat sheet.
Yeah, well, Macy Curtis has come in and played the center role the last couple of games and just done a tremendous job. Hasn't scored a lot of points, but she's had some big rebounds, some big defensive plays that have really helped us. And then yesterday, Addie Moore came in off the bench and had a couple big plays, got a big bucket in the fourth quarter, hit two big free throws down the stretch in the fourth quarter. That really helped us too. And then Ann Curtis has really stepped it up. She had 10 points and 9 rebounds yesterday.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a really nice bonus. And then Sophia Hoagland had 18 points and 11 rebounds,
Wow.
a double-double. So
I don't know if you heard the Central Indiana Sports Report yesterday, but Michelle said, if you guys are going to reach your potential, you're going to have to see a lot of Hoagland. So that's a good sign.
yeah. Well, she came off a big year last year where she had a really high shooting percentage. She is, in fact, one of the tops in Frankton history as far as a season shooting percentage where she was over 60%. And she's she's been under that this year, but last night we saw some of the Sophia Hoagland that we were really hoping to see, and she did a great job.
All right, who were your leading scorers besides her, Coach?
Macy Curtis had 11. And then I think Emma Key had 5. Addie Moore had 6, I believe, off the bench. I believe Macy Curtis had 6, and so they were all kind of in that range right there.
All right, you don't get much time off here with the holidays, do you? Come back this weekend, right?
Right, we come back Friday against Shenandoah, another tough one. So we just got to hopefully keep it rolling and keep improving the way they've been improving, and hope for the best.
And that game's at home, correct?
I believe so. I had to think about that. We were so focused on Newcastle and Lapel the last couple of days.
I was just going to tell everyone who's home for Thanksgiving in Frankton, get out and watch the Eagles on Friday night. So,
thank you very much. I appreciate that.
The Eagles are back in action Friday when they host Shenandoah in their third straight home game.
Newcastle beat Muncie Central 45-21 at home Friday and is now 2-5 on the season. The Trojans were led by 14 points from sophomore Elena Orr, 12 from freshman Carly Panzer, and 12 from sophomore Piper Arthur. Orr was 4 for 9 from the three-point line, and Lanzer led the team with 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and is going to be a good one.
The Kokomo Wildcats are 5-0 for the first time since 2009 after beating Fort Wayne Southside 63-23 at the Dawn. The Wildcats are outscoring their opponents by 34 points per game and are holding opponents to 26 points a game. No team has scored more than 34 points, and no opponents has scored more than 11 points in a quarter against Kokomo.
As usual, several Wildcats were significantly involved in the victory. They went 23 for 36 inside the three-point arc and shot 46.7% for the contest. Senior Michaela Drake was 7 for 13 and led the team with 17 points. Sophomore Bella Richards had a nice night with going 5 for 9 with a season best 10 points to go along with 8 rebounds. Junior Elena Stewart was 4 for 5 with 8 points. Junior Amara Stroman was 3 for 3 overall and 2 for 2 from deep, and finished with 8 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists, a block shot, and a steal. Sophomore Satira Scott had 6 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and a team best 5 steals. And senior Reagan McLean had 3 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal. The Wildcats had 15 offensive rebounds, 14 assists, 15 steals, and forced 24 turnovers.
Kokomo has a week off before going to 0-5 Anderson Saturday for its NCC opener. Then, after hosting 2-2 Scienceville next Monday, before going to Lafayette Jeff to face the 4-1 Broncos in a huge conference game that could very easily decide the NCC.
Southside freshman star Maddie White finished with 6 points and 17 rebounds, but she was held to 2 of 16 from the floor. The Archers are now 1-6 and have lost 6 straight. By the way, I spent some time at Southside and loved it there. It was a great school with a lot of great facilities, plus cool colors and maybe the coolest logo in any school in Indiana, and is the alma mater of one of my mentors, Albert Starks.
Mississinewa also went to Fort Wayne Saturday but didn't have as much luck. The Indians are 1-5 after a 40-23 loss at Luers and have lost 5 straight games against a really tough stretch of schedule.
I spoke with Kevin Helfrick, who called the game for the Action Sports Network. Welcome to the Central Indiana Sports Report, Kevin Helfrick of the Action Sports Network. Kevin was at the Mississinewa game on Saturday. It was Luers 40, Mississinewa 23. Kevin, tell us about the game, please.
Yeah, well, Mississinawa was going against a tall task, facing the defending 2A state champion Fort Wayne Bishop Luers. Girls now, granted, they don't have a lot of their roster back from last year, but still, this is a tough place to go win a basketball game. And Mississinawa went up there and played well defensively. They kept themselves in the ball game, especially in the first half. But offensively, their struggles just continued. They were shooting just over 30% heading into the contest, and they struggled again on Saturday afternoon and shot 26.5%. That's just not going to get very many victories. So unfortunately for Mississinewa, they did fall on Saturday, but I think Coach Friday had a couple things that she could really be pleased with: the way her team played defensively and the way they blocked out. They actually out-rebounded the Knights on Saturday, so that's a positive thing she could take from that loss.
I'm guessing that J.C. Crick is getting a lot of attention from defenses.
Yeah, she actually struggled offensively in the first half, but she did hit her first shot, which was a big three-pointer to end the first half that drew the Indians to within 17-11. It gave them kind of a boost going into the halftime break, and they actually drew up a nice play to start the second half. They had the ball coming out of halftime. They had an open three-point look by Brooklyn Nash that just didn't go, and then from there on, Luers took off. But Crick was, in fact, the leading scorer. She scored 15 points for the Indians. She scored her 1,000th point early in the season at Peru, which is where the Indians started this 5-game losing streak. They lost a heartbreaker to Peru, 45-44, back on Saturday, November 9th. And the Indians has just kind of been in a spiral since then, and it's all been because of their offense, not because of their effort, but it's just been a lack of being able to put the basketball in the hoop. And they have also struggled turning the basketball over. That was a real sore spot on Saturday afternoon as well, where the Indians committed 22 turnovers, and that's just not going to win very many basketball games, especially when you're going up against good basketball teams.
Well, that's part of it too, is they're going up against good basketball teams.
Yeah, in fact, earlier in the week, they got beat by another very good 2A basketball squad in the Bluffton Tigers,
right,
coached by Doug Curtis, who's been at several stops. He started out at Lakeland as a boys coach, but he's been in Angola, DeKalb, Bluffton, Fort Wayne, Northrop. So he's had a lot of stops along the way, and everywhere he's went, they've won. And Mississinewa again continued to struggle just shooting the basketball on that Tuesday night loss, where Bluffton handled them 60-24. And that night, the Indians just didn't play very well defensively. And they turned the ball over and just couldn't find shots to fall. And you're just not going to win. They didn't have a single player in double figures that night, as Crick was limited to just 8 points. So The Indians got to find some offense, and they got to get some other players to step up alongside Crick to help get this thing turned around. They'll have that chance coming up against Eastbrook when they open up Central Indiana Conference play, and that's a matchup that I think they feel they can win, and that would be a great way to start conference play.
Yes, it would, and that's going to be a big one. We'll be featuring a lot before that game happens. All right, Kevin, who impressed you from either team?
Well, obviously Crick, she's just a solid all-around basketball player. She had 4 rebounds to go along with her 15 points, and although she started out, 0 for 4 on the night, she finished hitting 6 of her last 10 shots. So she really came around and played a solid second half. And Lures, they were led by their leading scorer, Reese Rodenhamel. She's a very good player as well. She ended up with 16 points to lead the Knights in victory. So those were the 2 most impressive players on the floor on Saturday. And Mississinewa had some good play from Emma Wakeman down low. She scored all 6 of her points in the first half to help keep the Indians in that ball game. And she also had 4 rebounds. So I would say those are the 2 that stood out for Mississinewa. Now, defensively, Avery Wilson was all over the floor for the Indians. She took a couple defensive charges. She's just a pesky defender on the ball, and she's really done a solid job. I think with her and Brooklyn Nash at the guard positions, if they could get their shots to fall on a consistent basis, this could be a dangerous Indians team. This is an Indians team that went 12-11 last year. So I think this slow start has kind of surprised them as they only lost a few players off that team from last year. So they've got a lot of returners, 6 players back from that squad, and I think they will get this thing turned around. And Coach Friday has done a good job with this team, and she'll continue to coach them hard, and they'll continue to play hard.
Kevin, tell us what you have coming up here in the future and where people can find your broadcasts.
Yeah, this week I know I'm going to be doing 3 games. I'm not sure where I'm at quite yet Tuesday night, but I think Wednesday night I'll have Wabash and Oak Hill in the boys opener of the season. And that's always a fun game on right before Thanksgiving. And then I think Saturday night, I think I'll be traveling to Newcastle, perhaps to that field house, to the largest gym in the country or the world for high school athletics. So excited about that one. And you can find all our games on Action Sports network.live. We cover so many teams. If you have any interest in seeing anybody from Grant County, Wabash County, Wells County, Miami County, that's the spot to go and catch those games. That we have boys, girls, you name it, we cover it all, and it's just been a great thing that's been available to fans who can't make those trips maybe on a weeknight or a weekend, and to catch all the games.
Outstanding, Kevin. You're the kind of friend we're looking at making at the Central Indiana Sports Report, and I hope that we can continue to work together. It was really nice meeting you the other night at Madison Grant, and I hope we can do this often.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Appreciate that, Greg.
The Indians have nearly 2 weeks off before hosting county and conference rival Eastbrook on December 6th. Speaking of Eastbrook, the Panthers ended their 3-game losing streak Saturday with a 62-28 win over Taylor. Here is Eastbrook head coach Alicia Griffin to tell you about the win.
Welcome back to the Central Indiana Sports Report. Eastbrook head coach Alicia Griffin. Coach, thanks for being with us, and congratulations on a 62-28 home win over Taylor. Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you so very much.
Tell us about the win.
We came out with something to prove. We didn't have a great home opener against Southern Wells, and so we wanted to come out and show the home crowd what we're about, and hopefully make a lasting impression.
All right. Who impressed you in the win, Coach?
Kayla Cochran, a freshman this year, had a great game for us yesterday. It was kind of her breakout game. I've been kind of encouraging her this past couple of weeks and kind of being on her about, what it means to be a varsity player. And we started recording some practices and going over some of how effective we are when we don't have the ball in our hands, when we're defending off the ball, and just cleaning up some of that stuff. And she proved to take what was said and transition that to game time. She had a phenomenal game with 12 points for us, 2 for 7 from the 3-point line, and which is huge for her.
Tell us who else started for you in the win, Coach.
Mia Bustos had 21 points. She's always a constant leader for us on the floor. She had 16 rebounds on the game. Yeah, she was a dog on the boards for sure. And then getting into the lane and making some baskets right off the start was great. She really dominated inside and put together some post moves that she's been working on.
Coach, you got about a week and a half off before your next couple of games the following week. What are your plans for the team?
We're gonna practice the next couple days, and then we're gonna take the rest of the week off and enjoy our families and have a great Thanksgiving and rest our bodies. We're definitely tired right now. Just a different style of play than what the girls are used to, and so just adjusting to that. And so just resting, taking care of our bodies, and spending time with our loved ones for sure.
The Panthers are now 2-3 and are off for nearly 2 weeks before going to Southwood a week from Wednesday, and then going to Mississinewa next Friday. Oak Hill dropped its first game of the season, 54-34 at Norwell. The Golden Eagles are now 4-1. The 4-3 host Knights led 13-8 at the end of the first and 24-14 at the half, slowly pulled away in the final 16 minutes.
Oak Hill was led by 11 points from senior Liz Godfrey. She was 3 for 6 from behind the three-point arc. Sophomore Landry Hardman added 7 points, 5 assists, 5 steals, and 3 rebounds. Freshman Brianna Daly scored 7 points. Sophomore Erica Newhouse had 3 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, and a steal. And sophomore Morgan Cates finished with 2 points and 6 rebounds. For the Eagles, who looked to rebound on Tuesday at Southwood. Southwood, who's also the Knights, back-to-back games against the Knights, is 2-2 after Friday's 43-42 loss against unbeaten Elwood.
Anderson fell to 0-5 with an 80-59 loss to Lawrence North. The 2-2 Wildcats had 4 players score in double figures. Seniors Kyla Hurt and Samaya Thomas combined for 34 points. The Indians have a pair of conference games coming up, next Saturday at home against Kokomo and December 3rd at Marion. Muncie Central bounced back from Friday's 43-21 loss at Newcastle with a 49-8 home win over Blackford on Saturday. The Bearcats are now 3-3 and go to Richmond for an NCC contest next Saturday. Blackford has lost 4 straight and is now 1-5. They have 2 weeks off before going to 5-1 Bluffton a week from Thursday and 1-4 Madison Grant that Saturday. After a 16-point conference win over Taylor on Friday, Tri-Central suffered a 65-30 loss to 14th-ranked Tri-County at home on Saturday. The Trojans are now 2-3, and if pattern holds, they should win at Madison Grant in their next game a week from Tuesday. They've alternated wins and losses every game so far this season. Tri-County is 4-1 and has won 3 straight. Anderson Prep won its 5th straight game Saturday evening, 53-43 against visiting Eastern. The Jets are now 6-2 and have won 6 of their last 7. Making it 6 straight will be very difficult. APA hosts 6-0 and 7th-ranked Alexandria on Tuesday.
Freshmen Lainey Newland and Gianna Beachy combined for 27 points for the Comets, who are now 0-6. Newland also had 5 rebounds and 4 assists, and Beachy 4 steals and 3 assists. Senior Marley Cohn, who was coming off a career-best 23 points against Rossville on Friday, finished with 12 points and 6 rebounds to complete a very strong week. The Comets have a week and a half off before hosting 2-4 Manchester on December 4th. Susie, who is the girls' basketball player of the day for Saturday?
The Central Indiana Sports Report Girls Basketball Player of the Day is Frankton senior Sophia Hoagland. She had 18 points and 10 rebounds in the Eagles' 47-44 win over Newcastle. Congratulations, Sophia. It is a busier than usual Monday on this holiday week with 4 games, including unbeaten Elwood at Cowan.
I'll be at that one.
The Panthers are off to their best start in 15 years and look to go 6-0. The 1-6 Blackhawks have beaten Elwood in close games the last 2 years. They've played a very tough schedule so far and did beat Madison Grant 35-18 on November 16th. Also, 3-3 Pendleton Heights looks to bounce back from a heartbreaking loss to Greenfield Central when they go to 2-2 Chittard. The Trojans are coming off a 2-point win at Mount Vernon and an 18-point loss at Gibson Southern. Wapahani looks to go 4-0 when it hosts 0-5 Westdell. The Raiders are beating teams by 12 points per game, and the Warriors are being outscored by an average of 66-16. Also, Taylor looks for its first win of the season when Cross Point Christian visits. The Panthers went 14-5 last season. We think they opened their season Friday at Horizon Christian, but we can't find any proof of that.
And now you know everything we know about Central Indiana girls basketball. Thank you, Susie, for helping me with today's scoreboard. Also, thanks to Frankton head coach Jeff Bates, Eastbrook head coach Alicia Griffin, and Kevin Helfrick of the Action Sports Network. And thank you for listening. Please go like, subscribe, or follow us and give us 5 stars. Tell a friend. Anything you can do to help would be much, much appreciated. We could use it. Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. And I love Susie.